or a different sport or maybe music or whatever it is that they choose to do in their life, that they just dream big and just know that, you know, with hard work and you can achieve anything.
3, 2, 1.
Love that cheer at the end. Hey, good news! For the first time in 6 years, Canada's back on top of the world when it comes to women's curling.
Here we go. Have you got this straight? Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
That shot in the ninth end brought home the gold for Rachel Homan's rink at the Women's World Curling Championship, which was held in Sydney, Nova Scotia. The three-pointer gave them a 7-5 win over Switzerland. It's Homan's second world title. Jennifer Jones was the last Canadian to lead her team to victory at this event, taking top spot in 2018. Our weather specialist Riley Lachuk joins us today to tell us how we really dodged a bullet.
Yes, nice to have you back.
Thank you. Lovely to be back. Oh, thank you, Riley. I missed you too.
I hope you're refreshed. And
I'm refreshed, and I'm thrilled to not be shoveling as much snow as our friends in Thunder Bay will be shoveling.
Yeah, exactly, Janet. Dodged a bullet is precise language, because I'm going to show you that right now on satellite radar. Just what has missed us if you're not a fan of a good spring snowstorm. So mainly sunny skies across much of Manitoba right now, but back to the east here, you can see this large area of low pressure, this Colorado low, really enveloping through the state of Minnesota up into northwestern Ontario, mainly a snow event for areas like Thunder Bay west toward the Manitoba border, but we have rainfall warnings in place for parts of northern Ontario as well. So looking at the watches and warnings here very quickly, areas like Fort Frances, Rainy River, International Falls, into the Lake of the Woods region, 15 to 20 centimeters by the time this is all said and done tomorrow night. 15 to 30 for Sioux Lookout through the Dryden region, Atikokan, and then areas further to the east, including Thunder Bay, 25 to 50 centimeters by the time this is all done, by the time it moves out of the region by about midweek. So timing this out, you can see that low is centered through Minnesota, starts to push up first thing in the morning into northern Ontario. So Thunder Bay into the Atikokan region, still seeing some of that snow and that mixing. Us here in southern Manitoba looking at some very gusty winds as we head into the morning tomorrow, and a good chance of some scattered flurries. Otherwise, a mainly cloudy day for much of Manitoba. By the time we hit supper, yes, still some scattered flurries through the Red River Valley into southeastern Manitoba, and yes, still a whole lot of snow into northwestern Ontario. Things do start to improve in both provinces as we get through the day on Wednesday. Still mainly cloudy. It's not till we get to Thursday that we really start to see clearing in earnest, but you can still see here into Thursday evening, even I should say, the effects of this Colorado low still impacting extreme northern Ontario, and yes, some snow along the Hudson Bay coast. So this is sort of a multi-day event that we're looking at here across northwestern Ontario and into parts of southeastern Manitoba. So, you know, Winnipeg, the Red River Valley, in about a trace to a couple centimeters of snow, up to 5 for the southeast. But yeah, you can see these numbers back to the east, Thunder Bay even getting over that 20 centimeter mark. So yeah, it's going to be a messy week, especially if you have travel plans that involve heading east. -4 in Winnipeg right now. Brandon and Thompson both at -8. We've been seeing winds really picking up through the afternoon, north gusting over 50 right now with a falling pressure as we get through the night tonight. We're looking at a low of -12. Scattered flurries really as we get into the morning tomorrow, -11 first thing, and then we're looking at -7 with breezy conditions through the afternoon. Things do improve as we get through Wednesday, a high of -5, above 0 Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And yes, I know we are all really eagerly awaiting that Easter egg hunt forecast for Sunday in Winnipeg. Janet, I'm calling it exactly average with a mostly sunny 3 degrees.
So the key, if you're in one of those snowy areas, would be really brightly colored Easter eggs.
Yes.
Right, because
yes,
they might get lost in the snow otherwise.
I've got more animals coming up to you.
Oh, good. Thanks, Riley.
You're welcome.
What a weekend it's been for Wendy Friesen. When she arrived at an event for Brandon's Trans Day of Visibility on Friday, she expected to celebrate her friends in the gender-diverse community. She ended up getting the surprise of her life when her girlfriend appeared on stage toward the end of the night with a ring and a marriage proposal. As CBC's Chelsea Kemp shows us, Friesen said yes.
Will you marry me, Wendy?
House of Hex was coming up, all in single file there up to the stage, and then all of a sudden I saw the box and I thought to myself, no. I just was totally blown away. I had no idea.
Trans Day of Visibility, it's an opportunity to celebrate who we are. Looking around at the room right now, this is sold out here in Brandon. People are interested. People want to hear what we have to say. And to see my fellow siblings in the gender diverse community here celebrating and joining together is amazing, and it's heartwarming.
Somebody else. Can I get an amen?
Transphobia is getting more vocal and closer to our doorstep. Knowing that people are still emboldened, still vocal about trying to take away our rights and our ability to self-express, and sometimes even our freedom of movement. I do believe the moral arc of the universe does bend towards justice, but as long as we keep fighting for it.
Days like this help heal because you forget. You forget about those comments. You forget that those people even exist. You're surrounded by people who love you and support you, and you know that you feel safe and calm in this environment. So it's almost like healing your inner child, because oftentimes these performers didn't get the chance to perform in the body that they wanted. So this is healing themselves. So I think it's a great time for everyone to heal and come together and just be happy.
Will the muggers stain the skin?
Thanks, Chelsea Kemp, for that item. Still ahead, new remarks from Russia's president regarding Friday's massacre at a concert venue. He says the attack was carried out by radical Islamists, but he still claims Ukraine was involved. We'll explain after the break on CBC Winnipeg News. So far, 7 people have appeared in court in connection with the deadly attack on a Moscow concert hall last week. While a faction of ISIS, the Islamic State group, has claimed responsibility, Russian President Vladimir Putin is trying to cast suspicion on Ukraine and the West. CBC's Briar Stewart brings us the latest.
The faces of the 4 alleged gunmen tell the story of their arrest and what happened afterwards. They appeared in court, bruised, beaten, and barely conscious. Late Monday, 3 others also appeared, accused of being complicit in the attack on a Moscow concert hall that left more than 130 dead. For the first time, Russia's president described the attackers as radical Islamists, but suggested Ukraine and the West could also have been involved. This atrocity may be just a link in a whole series of attempts by those who've been at war with our country since 2014, he said. The group ISIS-K, an offshoot of Islamic State, has claimed responsibility. It carried out a suicide bombing at the Kabul airport in 2021 and recently staged attacks in Iran and Turkey. Germany says it stopped the group from targeting a cathedral on New Year's Eve, and France's president said police there had also foiled planned attacks. We have offered to increase cooperation with Russia's intelligence services and our partners in the region, said Emmanuel Macron. France raised its terror threat to the highest level, and Italy has stepped up security ahead of Easter.
So we are seeing an upscaling by ISIS operations.
This international terrorism expert says Russia is a target of jihadi groups in part because it fought in Syria alongside the government against ISIS.
With the expansion of ISIS-K, they have been increasingly trying to tap into communities in Central Asia, but also Central Asian communities in Russia. And the way they go about doing it is predominantly online through encrypted messaging apps.
The suspected gunmen are all from Tajikistan. Russia has said they were arrested on the way to Ukraine. Ukraine and the U.S. have dismissed attempts to try and link Kyiv to the attack as propaganda. Briar Stewart, CBC News, London.
The United Nations Security Council has passed a resolution calling for an immediate ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas war.
14 votes in favor, 0 vote against, 1 abstention. The draft resolution has been adopted.
The United States was the lone abstainer in the vote. Along with the ceasefire, the resolution calls for the immediate and unconditional release of more than 130 Israeli hostages being held by Hamas. It also emphasizes the urgent need to get aid into Gaza and protect civilians. The UN and international aid agencies have warned of imminent famine in the territory. With civil unrest escalating in Haiti, foreigners are facing a wave of kidnappings, robberies, and violent crime. Ottawa responded today by arranging to airlift vulnerable Canadians out of the country by helicopter. Foreign Affairs Minister Mélanie Joly made that announcement.
We will be facilitating the travel of the most vulnerable Canadians in Haiti to the Dominican Republic. At present, the Dominican Republic has strict eligibility requirements for all those entering the country. Only Canadian citizens who have a valid Canadian passport will be eligible for this assisted departure.
A security crisis has been unfolding in Haiti since 2021. That's when gangs took control of major infrastructure and started turf wars. Most food and medical systems have since collapsed. The international airport in the capital's closed, leaving many foreigners stranded. Donald Trump was due to pay a $464 million bond today in the civil fraud judgment against him. But a New York appeals court has lowered the amount significantly to $175 million. And the former U.S. president has been given 10 more days to get the money.
It's either $175 million in cash or bonds or security or whatever is necessary very quickly within the 10 days. But Judge Engoron is a disgrace to this country.
If Trump meets the new deadline, the state will not seize his assets while he appeals the judgment. A judge found Trump and his co-defendants fraudulently inflated the value of his assets. Meanwhile, a New York judge has set April 15th as the trial date for Trump's hush money case. He's charged with falsifying business records to hide payments made to an adult film star to cover up an alleged affair. Nelly Furtado, the biggest and brightest in Canada's music industry, sparkled last night at the Juno Awards. One win had fans particularly celebrating. We'll tell you about that after the break. Canada's music industry celebrated its biggest and brightest last night at the Juno Awards show. The party in Halifax saw dazzling performances, all-star tributes, and even some biting political commentary. A Punjabi artist, Karan Aujla, made history last night with a victory. CBC's Zubina Ahmed spoke to some musicians from Winnipeg who are proud of the groundbreaking win.
And the award for TikTok Juno Fan Choice goes to...
It was the first in Juno history. Canadian Punjabi music star Karan Aujla won the TikTok Juno Fan Choice Award. The BC-based singer and rapper has a huge fan base and over 1 billion views on YouTube.
This video, don't worry.
We feel proud, right, as a Punjabi music artist.
Aujla's Juno win is a proud moment for upcoming music artists from the community in Canada, like Harsimranjit Singh. Singh, who calls himself Ricky, has created 6 solo Punjabi music albums in Winnipeg. He says Punjabi artists like Aujla are an inspiration to upcoming musicians like him.
We feel proud, like such kind of music artists. They are taking the Punjabi industry to international level, and they are representing Punjabi community on such a big stage.
Aujla performed in Winnipeg 2 years ago and brought the Winnipeg Punjabi Arts Academy into his show. Director Ranveer Brar says the current generation of Punjabi youth look at artists like Aujla for inspiration.
He had a Canadian tour, so he was here and he performed at the Centennial Concert Hall here. And so we had the opportunity to dance alongside with him for a couple of songs, and it was phenomenal. Like his energy on stage, singing and dancing at the same time, and he would look at us and pick up some of the movements as well. So.
Brar says Aujla's victory is well deserved because his music keeps the next generation rooted to Punjabi music and culture. Zabina Ahmed, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Riley joins us once again. Now, if you're ever out driving or you're listening to CBC Radio in the late afternoon or watching on YouTube, because you can do that now, you know that Riley often does hits in the afternoon on Up to Speed. Today he asked viewers, listeners, for a request.
I ran out of dog photos for the dog walking forecast. I know, who would have thought? And boy, oh boy, did the listeners answer the call, Janet.
You asked somebody to send in pictures.
Yes, I put a request in for folks to send in dog pictures for our dog walking forecast. Here's one of those pictures. I've got like weeks worth of photos to get through now. So here's tonight's. Thank you to Carol for sending this picture of Hank in, who might find it a bit chilly for that morning walk tomorrow morning. Minus 11 first thing in the morning in Winnipeg. Some scattered flurries throughout the day. So I'm not saying, snow all day tomorrow, but certainly the chances there for some scattered on and off flurries. I do want to see your photos as well. So send them to talkback@cbc.ca. All one word, and I'll see if I can get those on. But I've got a lot. So thank you, everybody, for sending those in for me. Here's where we got to today. Minus 10s, minus 11s through Westman, minus 8 in Brandon, minus 4 was the high that we got to in Winnipeg late this afternoon, reaching that at the Forks late this afternoon. Minus 8 in Thompson. Yes, still below seasonal. These temperatures are more like something we should see for an overnight low rather than a daytime high. I know I've been saying that for a little while now, but we do have a little bit more spring-like weather in the forecast for the coming week or so here. So minus 5 in Selkirk right now. Gimli's at minus 6. Victoria Beach at minus 4, minus 3s in both Steinbach and Morris. And looking a little bit more broadly out, Arborg at minus 8 this hour, minus 12 in Roblin, minus 10 in Swan River. And temperatures around minus 10 for much of northern Manitoba as well. After we saw that ridge of high pressure depart, temperatures stabilizing a little bit, but still, below seasonal. And you can see that Colorado low here with all of that cloud cover. We'll start to see that pushing back to the west into Manitoba a bit as we get into the overnight period tonight. So temperatures dropping to around minus 20 again for southwestern Manitoba. Still with that snow through northwestern Ontario tonight, where we have weather advisories, minus 12. Overnight in Winnipeg. As we get through your hour-by-hour forecast for your Tuesday, mainly sunny in northern Manitoba. Temperatures by the time we hit noon around minus 12, minus 13 degrees, and the leading edge of that cloud cover starts to move into northern Manitoba. So a cloudier day for Island Lake and Barons River by the time we get to the afternoon, and some snow moving in as we get into the day on Wednesday. For the south, that snow starts to crawl back in as we get through Tuesday, minus 12 and minus 13s by the time we hit noon, with snow in northwestern Ontario. And Janet, temperatures still below seasonal at around minus 10.
Thanks, Riley.
You're welcome.
We will be ready, and we will be able to use the mic.
This was the scene at the International Space Station. A Soyuz spacecraft carrying 3 members docked safely today. They were greeted by 4 crew members already on the space station. Their rocket took off on Saturday from Kazakhstan 2 days after its planned launch was postponed due to a technical glitch. Mission controllers called it a textbook rendezvous with everything going smoothly and according to plan. Well, public health didn't go according to plan when it announced last week information about a recent Salmonella outbreak. It was surprising. The source, geckos. We're going to talk with a retired biologist after the break to find out what surprised him about Health Canada's announcement. An outbreak of Salmonella, which includes cases here in Manitoba, has been traced back to pet geckos. The Public Health Agency of Canada has been warning gecko owners and anyone visiting homes with geckos to practice good hand hygiene and avoid being infected. Doug Calicott is a former biologist. He's also the owner of a 55-year-old pet turtle named Simone. He brought his pet with him this morning when he joined Marcy Marcus on Information Radio to talk about the outbreak and how to avoid spreading Salmonella.
Most of the pet reptiles and that don't really like being handled.
Yep.
They'd just as soon be left alone, and I don't handle her any more than I have to. She's not going to be active and poking around because she's half asleep. I woke her up this morning. So.
Yeah. So you do touch her though with your bare hands, and you do put your hands, in the obviously the water gets on your hands and such.
Yeah.
Will you touch her body too ever, or you're touching just the shell around her?
Mainly just the shell, partly because I don't want her to scratch me with her claws.
Got it. So now we'll put her back to sleep in the bucket.
Yes.
And do you need to cover it up? Oh, see, look what you're
she's
doing.
good, but
She's
I have
good.
my
You're spraying
sanitizer. I noticed you had some out on the visitor tray even too, and it's a good practice. I mean, it's something we all was re-emphasized to us during COVID, how important basic hand hygiene and sanitation is, and that this whole instance has served as a good reminder for pet owners and people in general that this is a potential risk with reptile pets. Salmonella bacteria are sort of endemic in their gut systems. They don't suffer from it. They don't get sick from it. But if that bacterium happens to pass to a human, it can cause some significant illness.
Have you, how often do you sanitize it? Like after each and every time that you would handle your pet?
I certainly try to remember to do that, either a sanitizer or a good hand washing.
What was your reaction when you heard this public health warning about the cases involving geckos?
I was kind of wondering why. This is old news. Any biologist or anybody in the pet trade, or hopefully most reptile owners, would know that Salmonella is an issue, and you have to take care. It's a minor potential for infection, but something that we should be certainly aware of.
It's interesting because some of the cases they were saying, I'm not sure if handling was always involved. What's your sensibility of that?
Well, direct handling doesn't have to be involved, but you can transmit, the owner of the pet could transmit the disease to other surfaces somebody could touch. And for the most part, for the average person, it's not likely to be a problem, but even Health Canada recommends that households with very young children, elderly or immunocompromised individuals shouldn't really be around these animals.
Turtles can pose the same risk of Salmonella, or is it higher in geckos?
Basically all reptiles in the pet trade, and amphibians as well, have the potential to shed the bacterium and have it inadvertently transferred to humans.
Geckos themselves, I don't know if I've handled a gecko before. Are they pets that people would handle readily all the time? Like that's part of the joy of having them?
Yeah, they're so cute and cuddly looking. Of course, people do this, and there's an unfortunate statistic in the report that came out suggesting that more than 2/3 of the people who did get this disease or were exposed to it were women, and the message is, ladies, stop kissing your pet reptiles.
They're cute.
Even in the Health Canada warning, it says, do not kiss your pet reptiles.
What's your advice to parents? You said kids and elderly folks potentially. What would you say to them about handling and having these pets and being around these these creatures right now?
Well, it's okay to have them, but you need to respect the need for proper hygiene when you're dealing with them. Don't clean the pet's cage and then make dinner,
Yeah, it's worth saying though, sanitizer, washing your hands, even if it's even with the cage, not even just with handling the reptile, right?
Yeah, certainly. And remember that the individual who is handling and then handles something else could be leaving the bacterium, and it could be in the cage and in the general environment in your house over time.
Mm-hmm. So just a reminder, as you said, in a hope that maybe it won't actually give reptile ownership a bad name.
Yeah, you want to avoid that, and you want to keep people healthy. So just as we learned all our good hygiene habits during COVID, and of course people are starting to forget those too. So here's a reminder to just take these things seriously.
Thank you so much for coming in, Doug, and for bringing Simone with us to us as well. Appreciate it.
Oh, thanks, Marcy.
And I don't want to believe that maybe this is the end. I know you're kind of a tease, but is this really pretend? Something tells me I'm wrong with you.
Grammy-nominated band Sum 41 has announced a Canadian leg of what they say will be their last ever headlining world tour. The band makes a stop at Canada Life Place January 20th, 2025. Tickets go on sale Thursday at 10 a.m. Your 7-day forecast and daily lift are still to come.
Here is a look at your wake-up weather for your Tuesday. Scattered flurries moving through the Red River Valley throughout the day. Tomorrow, -11 first thing in the morning. Watch for those north winds gusting to 40 through the day, so another breezy one ahead. -10 by noon, and looking at a high tomorrow below seasonal once again of -7 by the time we hit the afternoon. We'll start to see a bit of clearing as we head through Wednesday. Still quite unseasonably cool. We do start to kind of climb up by the time we get to Good Friday on Friday with a high of 2 degrees. Easter looking at seasonal high of 3 with a mainly sunny sky, and we're looking at sunny skies to start next week as well with a forecast high of 5. So temperatures on the upswing. So Janet, how is this for some speedy restaurant service?
Paris has revived its historic cafe waiters race. It happened this past weekend after a 13-year break. And that, my friend, is tonight's Daily Lift. The servers who competed had to carry a typical French breakfast: 1 croissant, a glass of water, a cup of coffee. The rules call for no running and no spilling. About 200 people competed.
Now, the winner received free restaurant outings and a ticket to the Paris Olympics opening ceremony. This race has been held since 1914. I think that's running right there, though. It was put on hold after 2011 because of a lack of sponsorship.
So I Googled because I had to find out, okay, who finally stepped up and sponsored this? Is it a sneaker company? Is it somebody like it's the city's public water company, which is named Eau de Paris.
Okay.
Sounds like a cologne, doesn't it?
It does.
It really does. But it's the sewer company.
I'd be spilling that. That would be going all over.
It would. Bye.
See ya.